Hey guys, this is Andre Hodge, Seven of Truth here, just offering you Galactic Special Forces Part 6, and this one's a bit interesting. It's with a friend and ally by the name of Annette O'Toole. Many of you probably know her. If you don't, she's been around for quite a while. When I first met her, she had a really incredible blog on WordPress that unfortunately got taken down, that had, I believe, at least 25,000 posts on it that she'd worked on for many years, and in that she supported me greatly. The very first real video I made was something called Money, the Ultimate Consciousness Pacifier, and I remember it very vividly because I got some urge to create this video about money because I'd done currency trading and not many people had really comprehended it. And I released it on my YouTube channel, and I know that she created a blog post for that, and it went a bit viral. It had, I think in the first 24 hours, 3,000 or 4,000 views, which for me was off the charts. And I remember it very well because I got a pretty massive activation from doing it, and I could feel the shift in the reality and in my life because I'd shifted so many people, and that's what really gave me the confidence to create all the videos I did. So it was a really massive thing for me. I realized that I had something I could contribute, and that's where I went on and made documentary series Conscious Explorer, Ancient Past, Present Task, that I've made 22 episodes now. And if that had never happened, I wouldn't have probably created that. So I'm very grateful for Annette's support of that, and not only that but other stuff as well. And she's done a lot for a lot of people that really hasn't gained the recognition for. Most people don't really appreciate what someone like that would do. So I'm very grateful for her, and this conversation was after a long time. We decided to have a really good chat, and it was maybe I can't remember when I sent her my crystals, but maybe a year after that, and she shares with me the amazing things that she did with them. So in me releasing this recording that was done on August 10th, 2017, which I can't believe is 3.5, 4 years ago now, it shows a side of her that probably most people have no idea. She does amazing grid work, and she's very in tune and has her own abilities that are pretty peerless in their own respects. So thank you, Annette, for your support. Thank you for your service to the community and to Earth, and I hope this helps you and it puts more attention on you and what you've done, and gives you the boost that you gave me all those years ago. So enjoy, guys. It warms up and I've edited it a bit, but then it really gets roaring, and she's really funny. So enjoy, guys. Cheers. Hey, Annette. Take your time.
Okay, you guys settle in. No, you can go, no. You can go out and finish talking. Sorry about that, I had to let my dogs in.
Hey, it's so cool. So cool.
We were supposed to talk a year and a half ago. I think it was December 31st, 2014. You and I were talking about, we're going to do a call, and we never did.
It's me, alright, it's me. Because when I sort of interact with people and stuff, it's a matter of how I feel in myself, and if I've got anything to sort of, share, and I don't feel like it most of the times, I'm struggling to deal with my reality, let alone sort of getting involved with stuff, And I'm very selective of what I do, It's not anything new. I've cut so many people out. It's not funny. So
I'm
And
the same way. You know that I was a hermit for a long time.
yeah, yeah,
Same, same dynamic with me. I think you and I have a lot in common. All I can do is just know that people will work this stuff out, whether it's this timeline, next timeline, whatever. It's a journey we all go through in, learning the art of deception and learning about the masters behind those deceptions and how they work. It is, boy, it's a very disillusioning year for a lot of people, and I've been through some of this disillusionment over the last few years, working behind the scenes and learning.
that spate, all right? So you measure your journey with the drug sort of stuff, right, over many years, and then you've gone through a process of similar with information, all right?
Yeah.
It's a metaphor. You can sort of see it as journeys, all right? And you get crushed, all right? But to me, all right, this is what I know is that on the other side of the crushing is when the great potential is, So, like the metaphor of the night is the darkness is full of sunrise. So, with that wisdom of awareness, it's not hope, it's just a trust that the cycle, you know what I mean? There's potential because, I mentioned the trends and the charts and stuff like that. Like watching them for hours and hours and listening to these guys talk about this stuff, the constant theme is that a journey can't always go in one direction. In order for a chart to keep going, there must be so much energy to maintain it in that direction. It's artificial, and I see it in the stock charts these days. They're not true, they're not authentic, but that's a metaphor I sort of have in everything, right at the worst moment, when you're contemplating giving up, that's when, the good stuff happens, all right? so
that whole dark night of the soul thing, if you can get through it, is a payoff in the end when you come out on the other side.
So my attitude is, in spite of everything, something good is due in a big way, So I'm always, I appreciate the purpose of, the ups and downs, but I'm also, I've got one foot in, say, the collective during time of day. You know what I mean? I've got one foot over that line and I'm in this other line, in this other state. So that's always the truth, Nothing always goes bad all the time, and I've had to really recalibrate myself of late. But I was actually, the reason why I didn't speak to you, I was doing this kitchen hand job in this really fucked up place, and my brother was there, and he's worked like a slave for 5 years, and he's owed like 25 grand and shit like that. And they actually, just one day I was working a whole heap because one of the main guys, he had to go back to China and his father was sick. And I was working 30 hours a week, and it's 30 hours at gym. Working in the kitchen is really physically demanding. I respect the chef.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? And then they gave me nothing.
Yeah, I've worked restaurants.
Yeah. And then they gave me nothing out of the blue with no warning. And a lot of people would be pissed off with that. And I was just, good. I don't want to be there. I'm worth more, you know what I mean? But I have to go through this to create the better, you know what I mean? So, and it's just holding on to who I am in that uncertainty, you know those sort of things. It's just a consistent thing.
Well, and how old are you? You're in your early 40s?
Yeah. How's your sternum?
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of really messed up shit in my sternum.
I think my sternum's fine. Okay. Sternum is just area,
I'm getting a lot of sharp pains. Big time. Talking about the
no.
Why don't you go into music history? Why don't you go into that? Tell me about the music stuff.
Well, and this is what I witnessed, and I remember watching this because this was also I grew up in an era, you know, my stepdad, when I was 12, my mom married a Vietnam War vet who was 11 years older than I was. I was born in 1960, so that was 72. He had been out of the war for a couple of years, I don't know, but he brought the heavy rock and roll into the house. He was a pot smoker. So I got into like Steppenwolf and Deep Purple and, you know, a Black Sabbath and all of that at like the age 12 through him. And when I had my first awakening when I was 16, much of what, by then I was living in Chickasha, Oklahoma, had no friends, was isolated out in the country. My mom had bought a house about 10 miles outside of town in the country. And as I was starting to isolate and go within and open up, music, you know, while I had been on this journey there in Oklahoma, music was my only friend. I would sit there at the house and listen to the radio and call the DJ, you know, at like midnight and talk to the DJs, and even got to know the DJs so well when I ran away from home, the DJs from the radio station put me up. You know, I mean, that's how much the radio was my friend. And the music at the time, and this would have been in 1977, was Fleetwood Mac, and the stuff that really activated me was like Supertramp, Pink Floyd, Yes, not, what was it, that one album that was, they did, Going for the One. Okay, just the name, Going for the One. That album totally activated me, and it was music with a consciousness. Triumph, you know, they sang about magic. And if you look back in that era, the 70s era, in the lyrics, magic that was something they sang about a lot. Okay?
I got Stevie Nicks' history quite a bit as well. She's very interesting being, you know.
Stevie Nicks she carried me through those rapes.
Yeah.
Her music
she's like a divine feminine goddess. It was just strong. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, I had I dated a guy who owned a record store and at that time, and he gave me all the Stevie Nicks promo. I mean, I had cutouts from Belladonna. I mean, yeah, I was a big Stevie Nicks fan. And what I observed, I mean, this music, the music that was on the radio in 1977 was music with a consciousness.
Yeah.
There was consciousness to the lyrics. And what I observed, especially going into the 80s and MTV and all of that, about that time, and that's when I worked for concert promoters later on, rap music started making its introduction. Yeah. That's when heavy metal came in. And it took me a while to get on the heavy metal train. But when I finally got on the heavy metal train, I rode it hard. But what I noticed was in the early 80s, that music with a consciousness began to disappear and get buried, the metal, buried with rap, and just, I'm sorry, rap to me has done horrible things in regards to social conditioning. Yeah, the social conditioning was just horrible. And, you know, and then you get into heavy metal and death metal, and I mean, it just all devolved from there,
Like I said, I have to go to my market and get food. I catch public transport here, and it's just a tram, and it's like a 20-minute ride, and these two guys got on and they sat down, and one guy had a Slipknot t-shirt on. I've never listened to their music, but I know that.
Slip.
But why would you want to call yourself Slipknot? You know, it's about murder, death, causing harm. You know.
Oh my God! I never made that connection. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's about strangling someone, isn't it? That was my perspective, and why would you want to listen to shit that represents that? You know. It's just,
Wow.
observing society. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You know what I mean? Like, these are just patterns.
I know exactly what.
Looking at it as a child, I feel compassion for people that need to find meaning in that shit. You know what I mean? It's just funny. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
That's where
I know.
I was into DJing, and when I first experienced it, the beats and the drums and the rhythm and the lyrics and the melodies, they all just, I saw colours with the music. You know, I'd shut my eyes and I'd see colours, rainbows and shit.
Interesting.
And,
Yeah.
The lyrics were all positive and about love. You know, it's about, you know, empowerment and stuff like that. So I get what you're saying about the 70s. It was in a different. So yeah, I totally get it. There's these organic potentials that are realized in expression like that, and then it's realized that it's negating a lot of the negation. So that the compromise starts to get entwined with it to subvert it, and then some other organic process reveals itself, and then there's the subversion. You know, it's constant.
Well, yeah. And the thing, you know, that happened with me in the late 70s, and when that happened, I was so fortunate to have music that had consciousness to it, that was able to take me to places as my mind was expanding. The music helped that journey, that expansion journey. Whereas people nowadays who, you know, especially the younger kids, with the music they're exposed to, if they are in the, you know, happen to reach a point where I had reached, where they're like getting ready to open up in consciousness, they don't have access to that kind of music, at least in the, you know, the general domain.
Yes.
That's mind expanding. It's the opposite. It's mind contracting. It's shallow. It's dead. It has no life to it. The tone is gone. It's digital. Even down to the feel of the music. It's not the same as it was when it was being played from vinyl or even tape.
Yeah.
You know, and in the same.
I've got about 2,000 tracks on vinyl from my DJing days, and I love it. I'm not trying to be super perfect in the videos I create. It's just my frequency, you know what I mean? So my effort with him is creating the vinyl expression of his work.
And you do a very good job. You do very well.
It's actually simple, but it's just very time consuming, you know. But my attitude with that was just trying to make it a bit easy for people to perceive, but I actually feel people might be a bit lazy, you know.
Oh, people are totally lazy, you know, that 90%. And that's the disappointing part about life when I kind of take a look around at the collective, and especially the people who, you know, in our industry, and the ones who discipline themselves and the ones who don't.
Yeah. That's where I recognize you with what I was mentioning earlier about the volume of stuff that you've gone through and your thoroughness. To me, it's a bit like me with creating the videos and that. And everything is integrated in me. And I wouldn't be able to do what I do without years and years of tens of thousands of hours of research, you know, thoroughness, and everything I've done is in my cellular memory. So it makes everything obvious now because I've just been so thorough, and I don't see that ethic in thoroughness sort of a great few. They're just you know what I mean? They haven't formed their life around it. It's just an add-on to their existence, you know, that is a part of the reality. So,
and let me ask you this, because I think we're a lot alike in this respect, and this is something I'm experiencing right now, which we kind of started the conversation off of on my friend Tom, is, you know, we've really gone down the rabbit hole into this reality and discovered the truth, you know, which is that, you know, pretty much everything we've been taught is a lie. And that, you know, you kind of have to go through this descension process and separating yourself from all of that and getting back into the core of who you are. And then you can start to kind of relearn what it's all about. And that's the journey that we're on, which is, you know, an infinite journey until you get back to source. But one of the problems that I really have, and that kind of keeps me as a hermit and isolated, is it's like I can only go so far with my relationships with people before something I say triggers something in them to where it's almost like they've had enough.
this is me, all right? No one's responsible for my emotional state. It's mine and mine alone. And I always put the responsibility of another state into themselves. It's not for me to be responsible for the emotional state of another. That's a huge projection of people in this reality. And sometimes it's good to shake it up a bit and see what gets revealed, you know what I mean? It's important, that role, you know, and see what happens. You get a lot of truth with people. So I'm on this constant vigilance of discernment of those around me all the time, you know. You know, you would have it as well. And I can say this about you, right? What I know is that, and this might be the gap that you are aware of and not know how to really segregate and slice up to see what's really going there. You know, say this lady, she, the reaction tells you everything, right? So, like, to me, it's like doing something outside their pattern and stuff like that, which you would know about her and respectful for her, and do something in the morning, and your agenda isn't about personal gain. You know, you're an altruistic being that's about the service to Earth and being an expression on Earth and the privilege of it, doing something in a ceremony way that's just in alignment with the harmony of the universe, all right? So you as your nature have that, and what is being revealed to you, and you've seen it all your life, is this. Unfortunately, there's not that many people that are governed that way as a fundamental of who they are. And so this lady, she says what she says, but she doesn't want to acknowledge that, no, Annette, I do my thing on the night of the full moon, and it's a big source of my income, and I need to do it, you know. That would be the authentic way to go, but she engaged you, and then she just didn't compromise. Like,
totally blew me, and not even you're not even a hey, you're on your own, you know, tomorrow morning. Nothing.
I know.
Nothing.
I know.
You know, and that's and you know, and I really, and then I kind of went into a little polarity and kind of judged her. But you know, okay, you're into the moon. I honor your sacred ceremony there. You know,
we should interact with
but what I know about the moon, it just gives me kind of a creepy feeling that she can't break away from the moon to honor the 3 suns that lay before us at sunrise. And that's...
But what I'm saying is that she's governed by the personal gain, all right? And that's that frequency that is in alignment with that, whereas you're not. You know what I mean? It's a common theme with society. And because I've done the money thing, all right, the currency trading, and I learned what the frequency of money and greed does. It's very subtle, but it's a fabric of the majority of people even in the spiritual community, and unless you've actually really worked hard on your sovereignty, and you've been smashed by your past, all right, you're not governed by that. But unless people have really gone through shit, they don't really have the reference of disconnecting from that at all. That's a very common thing. So because your truth is that you're not, it's not a hierarchical thing, but you're above her in an energetic way, and she can't deal with that because in herself, most people feel like they're, when you're with someone like Andrew and you're totally transparent, the people that feel that vulnerability, their truth being exposed, don't want to face it. You know what I mean? So they'll shut you out because you're bringing up their truth to them on an energetic level. So you feel like you're wrong to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is the discernment thing. In me, all right, you talk about the crystals. I'm actually preparing to go there on my Sunday or Monday. I haven't worked out which day and go and source crystals and put them in my womb chakra. I'm even thinking of sleeping there with a sleeping bag in the womb chakra, all right? So,
oh, wow.
So, me, I have no intention of letting anyone know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm not codependent on others. I need a car, like my mum's going away and it's going to be a nice space to do it. But I'll just do it anyway, and I'll share it, maybe with the right people, and I'll let them choose. But I'm not governed by my state of their contribution, if you know what I mean. It's a subtle thing.
Yeah.
The connection of womanhood and stuff is very, very powerful. But truly me, honestly, who am I going to be able to have in my reality at this time that's fully aware of Andrews and into all this stuff and have done the volume of healing I've done and stuff? I accept that I'm pretty isolated at the moment, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, I know exactly what you might mean, Andre, and
you're very important, all right? So a lot of stuff's going on around you, and it's like the surrogate self, is driving what the soul wants, but there's a free will choice, and the thing is, to me, this guy being around and stuff, he's actually wanting help. He's just wanting attention as well,
Well, and another thing that occurred to me after I read that is, and you know how it is when you get around somebody who, and not so much now as probably a few years ago, but remember when we were far less awakened and we would get around people, how it raises your vibration to be, it makes you, it makes you, and I realized there's a little energy vampiring going on here with him.
Sure, but it's also your energy field is actually boosting him as well, and when he goes away, he's going back to his normal self. So it's when he's around you and you're in your heart space and he's in your field, then there's a lot of potential there. But this is the truth with a lot of people when they're not around you, that the truth is that, So it's more about, this is going to be a common thing, and this is your healing potential, what I mean? Going through it done, you can maybe get into massage and stuff like that, I don't know.
I don't mind, I don't mind that, and I've recognized that dynamic on a certain level the whole while. Okay. And I even had this discussion with him last week. The reason why I'm not going down to the warm ponds a lot, which is a place I love. It's a sacred area, but there's a lot of people like him. And lately the riffraff has gotten really thick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a time when you have to really be discerning about what you allow into your field.
Absolutely.
And I got to the point where I realized I'm hanging around with all these low vibe dingleberries. That are kind of just like hanging around the periphery, sucking the energy out of us. But and me.
This is how I am to you, right?
It
took.
It's vampiric.
Sure. It doesn't have to be, all right? There's a consent thing,
Oh, yes.
I actually go into those spaces when I'm weak. Like I catch trains and trams here, and Adelaide people are very cheap. Like there's a lot of psychic parasites and stuff here constantly in the technology. All right, and I go amongst them when I'm weak. All right, when I'm weak, because when I'm weak is the most likely time when the test will come. You understand? So it took me a very, very long time to accept that my state, when I'm really tuned into this information, it's I can tune into I used to be able to talk to people and what they were saying. I'd know the book that was right for them, right? And I'd even buy the books, and I'd even lend them a book, or I'd give it to them. And what I found is that they would love to be talking about this stuff with me, but what happened is nothing ever happened when I wasn't around, all right?
Yeah.
And it's like, did you read that book? I was really totally invested in their journey, and it's like, oh, no, complacency, don't do it, not self-activated, not self-actualizing.
You're more invested in their journey than they are.
Yes, yeah. But what I'm saying, right, it took me a long, long time to value me, and it's me that's doing it. It's like, fuck, it's actually me. Who would have thought it was a last resort of options that was going on? And by accepting that, right, I shifted, and then the people in me shifted that would find me. Do you understand? And then when I accepted it, how can I control it? And that's what I'm saying. You know, I know what you're saying about this vampiric stuff, and it's always there. But I'm the one that's giving consent. How am I giving consent here? Explore that. You know what I mean? What energy, what emotional state am I allowing it in? You know, like say, just by even having the perception that these guys are vampiric, it's actually giving them energy. You know, they're just people. You know what I mean? I'm saying with the chips and stuff and the overlay, I feel it, but it's not me now. You know what I mean? Like, and then if I feel it, then I can shut it down as well. So like they're just psychic muscles that you develop when you say you go from that acceptance that it is me and I've got this power and I am who I am. You know what I mean? You go through stages and then you just get to the point where nothing affects you, you know?
Well, yeah. And, you know, and I'm coming out of a phase where I really got sucked into I allowed myself to get sucked into that drama. It lowered my energy. It was a stressful, you know, just
you lost the self-confidence
thing.
Of
And then,
who are good people and shit like that.
Well, and then I go down to the warm ponds, and then on my time away from the house, I'm going down there hanging around with a bunch of low vibe people.
Yeah.
And I just at one point had to sit back and and not even while I was down there at the warm ponds, but I'm just sitting here at home, you know, realizing the state my energy is in, going, how did I get here, and what do I need to do to shift the energy and get back, you know? And that's one of the things I realized. I'm hanging down at the warm ponds around the low vibe people too much, you know. And you know, I'm sorry, you know, the saying, if you sleep with shit, it rubs off on you. I don't care how powerful, you know, you got to find balance there. And I had just kind of, with the drama that was taking place on the internet in my life with these people, and then going down there, you know, I had to step back and go, whoa.
There were themes.
Yeah, if I want to clean up my field, I need to, you know, pull my energy back from these people and, you know, and get back to doing things that I wasn't doing, that I was doing before, that kept me walking this day, you know, because the whole thing, you know, I got pulled off center a little bit. And you know, it happens. It happens. It happens to all of us. That's how we learn. You know, if we stayed aligned 100% of the time, we wouldn't be learning or working through our polarity.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. So
maybe now that you've gone through that, maybe you've gone through a process and you've sort of mastered a lot of that stuff. And to me, when I speak to people like this, it's a whole new wave of amazing people about to reveal themselves because they're a match now. You know what I mean? And they've all gone through it on their own and stuff like that. you're out there in a way that's scattered that people can actually find you in their own time. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's very interesting.
It is. It's we play some interesting roles here, and it took me a while to realize my role and how my DNA interacts with the collective through my blog, through the video interviews.
Yeah.
You know, since my interview with Daniel aired was around July 1st. Wow, you know, I've left one comment on YouTube, and people, oh, I saw your interview, and they're asking me questions about Corey, and I'm just like, I don't even want to answer because I'm trying to get out of that drama. You know, and I'm like, why did I comment?
You know,
See, I never saw myself as a public figure or. Yeah, and it's like
the last fucking resort, because all these scumbags are doing all that shit, and it's maybe I'm the one that needs to be out there but not wanting to do it. That's my attitude as well. You know, I've just put my voice, my face out there for people to tune into.
Well, you know, I've got it's becoming apparent. I got one of the bigger sets of balls in this industry, because everybody else.
You got no vested interest. That's why. Other than the betterment of everyone in humanity, you know what I mean? Like what I said about the lady in the moon stuff. You know, it's actually the shit you've gone through has revealed this pureness of who you are. You know, it's pretty impressive, your journey, Annette.
It's been a long journey. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Like most people would probably look at that and be like, oh, she's an addict and all that shit. But no, you've been in the trenches, and that's what you have to do to get to this point now. You know, it's
exactly. I mean, I don't think, you know, and I see this with a lot of the masters, and you know, they had a path they walked before they became masters.
Yeah.
And many of them walked very dark paths. You have to walk through that fire and get burned, see others get burned, to develop compassion and understanding for others.
You also have to realize the era that they were in as well, because what mechanisms of understanding were there? You know, people 200 years ago, they had to be a part of the societies, you know. So just stigmatizing people for what they've been a part of is ridiculous, you know.
Oh, I know.
That reveals a lot about the people in judgment to me, you know. Like I said, what did you experience in heroin? That's what I'm interested about, you know. Shit like that.
I'm sorry, you kind of cut out on me on that. What did you experience?
Yeah, it's just, to me, getting the perspectives of someone that's actually experienced that stuff. Say heroin for a year, you know. To me, that's what's interesting. It's not about, that drugs there's a lot of stigma related to it, you know what I mean? But
it's a dark path. It's a dark path.
You know,
it's dancing with the devil.
Yeah, a lot of the drugs and the people that are in positions of power relative to that, they're all, like Andrew talks about, rituals done on the drugs and the symbols and stuff, you know what I mean? It's all quite interesting. It's the unseen layer, you know, hauntings and shit like that. So, it's fascinating. People that never been through that, they'll not want to face it or look at it, you know?
No, it's a lot easier to sit back and judge, and through judgment, that's how we put up our blinders.
The way I take on board information is it's just variables, you know, and it's
exactly.
It's an equation. I talk about the dot to dot, and I hold all the. For whatever reason, I just know the connection between certain information. To me, I thought everyone did, and it's like, wow, I've got to step back, because this is actually something that I assume that everyone had. They could actually detect truth. Bullshit, you know what I mean? I'm constantly looking for new perspectives of understanding, and it's a journey, you know. It's always like you gotta understand the majority of people just do no healing, and if they do a healing, they do maybe one, you know.
Yeah.
I said that stuff in Sean. It was 4 healings in one thing, you know, just for one issue, and might be 10 healings for an issue. You know what I mean? Just keep going back, and see what gets revealed. So what I see, what people aren't doing, is what I use as my guide, what to do on one level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's interesting. I just took, like, instead of playing the victim, I was just like, well, maybe it's not the right time. Even though I had a right to be, you know what I mean? Like, I'll just step back from it. You know what I mean? I use it. I don't go into that lack or victim state. I'll just take it on board. What am I least likely wanting to accept out of this? You know, what is the least? Because that's probably what my shadow doesn't want me to do. You know what I mean? So I play with my shadow and my state of being. Like, I use everything that's done with me to make me stronger, you know? So
yeah. Well, and that's the only thing we can do. And, you know, and that is, you know, one of the gifts that I received at a very young age through the rapes and through that trauma that I went through that was just so horrible. You can't make sense out of that. There is no sense to it. No rhyme or reason.
yeah.
Well, but one of the tools it gave me that I've carried through life is the ability to see the silver lining in every dark cloud. I don't care how dark a cloud is, how dark a circumstance is. I will always find a silver lining to that cloud.
Like
something to learn. Yeah. Yeah. And as soon as I can find a silver lining, you know, the hope or whatever, the reason, the learning, it shifts the energy of the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, that's always been a gift I've been able to tap into when, you know, shit hits the fan. And, you know, sometimes it takes getting a little perspective or, you know, getting out of the experience a little bit to go, okay. I see what that's about. And you know what Andrew told me, and I didn't learn this until this year. He told me that those rapes, and I can't remember his exact words, but paraphrasing is, what was I doing? It was clearing negative karma. I had a contract to do this for several worlds. Something like that. That's how, and that's how heavy that experience, those 3 experiences were, but that was something I had also agreed to do to help clear karma that was taking place someplace else on other worlds. Didn't even have to do with this realm. By a lady who was like 70 years old, who was amazing at doing astrology charts. I think I was about 18, 19. No, I was in my early 20s when I got that reading from her. That she saw that as being clearing karma from, how did she put it? She told me it was something that I had done when I was in a position of power long, long ago that I was paying for. And that kind of helped me find balance in all of that and go, well, okay, so I was paying for something. But Andrew took it to a whole new level. and I don't think that was a level she could have seen either
No,
from
no way.
her perspective.
It's always good to hear someone going, even though you don't feel like you're still developing, you know what I mean? So,
Oh, we all are. It's a process. It's a journey we're all on. And it's just an honor to know, even though you're all the way across this little blue ball ocean that lies before me, we're still connected, on a quantum.
I flew over Hawaii. I flew over Hawaii on the way to San Francisco, and I was like, it was calling me, you know what I mean? I was just like, wow.
So when you come into Hawaii,
Who knows?
it's
Who knows?
still calling.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
I mean, I was.
I've always enjoyed our connection. I mean, you always pop up at times when I'm thinking about you, or the synchronicities have always been uncanny.
Yeah.
So
Yell out when you're, I'm around, right? I'm a bit low profile and stuff, but yeah, it's.
Oh, I know, me too. I mean, I'm one of the worst people about calling other people or writing letters or replying to emails, because I'm just doing my thing. And I don't need anybody else, but I enjoy other people. I've never been good, when I pick up and move someplace else, staying in contact with the people from the previous place, I'm one of those gypsy kind of souls. And, I'm not real good at, staying connected with people, or even connecting with people sometimes,
Yeah.
So yeah, I do want you to know how much I do value.
About your friend as well.
Well,
I know what you're saying about those experiences when you're there for everyone and then you go through them and no one's around, right? So I've been through that many times. So
when I was on Kauai, I had some success with animals. I mean, I had injured birds finding me, ran into a lot of injured birds, and especially.
Do you have fires and do ceremonies and stuff?
I don't do fire ceremony as much as I should, because I love fire. I grew up as a pyromaniac, loving to play with fire.
But maybe, let's say with all this stuff that's gone on and stuff, just build a fire and just sit by it and contemplate all the stuff and talk to it,
I need to. We've got mosquitoes here,
Sure.
So
It's tough.
it's kind of like, it's like, that's the hard part. I don't like sitting outside and getting chewed up, and I don't like spraying shit on me, and it's just, so yeah, I got mosquito issues that kind of interfere with the whole fire thing but there are areas, and I'm praying to find a house next year because you can find areas that don't have mosquitoes. I'm just in the jungle and have a lot of,
Bye.
nesting places for them here, but there are people that will clear their land, back the jungle off, so you can find, and down by the coast, there aren't a lot of mosquitoes. So yeah, I'm really looking to change that so I can be outside more. When I was on Kauai, we didn't have the mosquito problem there, and I was always outside. I always had my feet on the ground. Yeah, I know, and I do know about the fire thing. I crave fire. I mean, honey, I was the one that took my little brother and little sister into the barns and would start fires with matches. Well, we played with matches in the barn. Got in trouble for that a few times. So yeah, I think I had something in me that wanted to start that barn on fire. I like fire. So yeah, but I do need to use fire more as, medicine. I don't know that. So yeah, thank you for reminding me. But yeah, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying that led me to all that. Probably need to let you go. But yeah,
It's good coming.
you know,
I appreciate
yeah,
it's good
you know,
I appreciate all your support with me as well. You know, like you've been an ally, and there haven't been many around. I swear. So yeah.
you know, thank you, and thank you for all your support. So, oh yeah, and I do want to get some more stones from you. I'll be
Right,
working on.
We'll look at getting that sorted out as well. So,
Because I called this one, it was one of the larger stones you sent me. Dude, this thing has a dolphin. It's a fucking dolphin. I don't know if you saw that.
did you hear the whale recordings I've done with Andy? I send you the whale recordings.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
oh my God.
we're all a bunch of whales that agreed to come here. You know that. So
yeah,
and agreed to getting set up and stuff like that. So
oh my God, this stone has changed. And now it has an eye and a smile on it. Oh my God. I think it's the lighting. Because I usually look at it in the morning. But yeah, it's like when I said that, I turned around, I'm like, oh my God, it's really smiling. It's got an eye now.
When I did the work with my friend Mandy on Gabrielle Island off Vancouver, which is Turtle Island from my perspective, but I don't think it's the only Turtle Island. I think it's one. When I was about to catch the ferry off the island, I was really sad and stuff, and we had to wait for the ferry to come, and there was this car park, and the car park had been eroded out of like mountain or rock, and I could see a face smiling at me from the rock. I could see it. It was like the island was smiling at me, thanking me. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, very hard to leave. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'll ever come back to this place.
Yeah, that's when you know you're in tune. When I was on Kauai, and that's when I was doing a lot of work with the stone people of Adelaide and all of that. Man, I would sit there and look at I had a beach I would go to that faced a sacred mountain. And there were days, there were faces smiling at me all over that mountain or looking back at me. They weren't all smiling, you know, but yeah, the faces in the stones and in the mountains and sometimes in the trees.
I recently got some stones. I got a mate that goes to London quite a bit, and he puts them around London, the CBD, and he travelled back via Qatar, so he drops them off at Qatar for me. And there's another girl that I know, and she's from South Africa, and I got her to take some over for me, just a few. And I said, just take them to where it feels special to you, you know. And she said, she sent me photos after she did it. She buried it where Nelson Mandela was captured in South Africa.
You told me that.
Yeah. Wow. You don't tell people, let them do what they feel is right, and they'll surprise them.
Exactly.
I told Andrew that, and he was like, wow.
Okay, well, let me tell you, some of the stones that you gave me, the smaller stones, one went with a chief, I forget what tribe, but he was from Oregon, and I took a handful of stones to the powwow on Kauai. So one of the chiefs took one back to Oregon, and I gave them the same instructions. I'm like, you know, they'll kind of let you know what to do. You know, just follow your heart, follow the stone. Another one, he wasn't a chief, but he was pretty high up in the tribe, was with the Sioux, and that probably ended up, I don't know if it ended up, but it was in the whole, the DAPL thing, remember the Standing Rock. Yeah. The Standing Rock area is where that stone went to. Where else? Also, and listen to this, the daughter of Nelson Mandela, not Nelson Mandela. Oh my God, you said that. Who am I trying to think of? The guy who was the king, Philippines.
Marcos.
Marcos.
Yes.
Yes, his daughter has one of the stones, and she claims to be a princess. She's in Los Angeles. She lives in Malibu. She's a dragon family member that I dealt with. But she took a stone back to Los Angeles. I think she probably kept it. I don't think she did anything with it. I don't remember if I even instructed her. I think I just gave it to her. But yeah, so Los Angeles.
Right.
Then another guy, there was a shaman on Kauai, a very good friend of mine, powerful guy. I gave one of the stones to him. Oh, also the heir to the kingdom, one of the royal, the king, the royal family members, I gave him one of the stones, and listen to this. I gave him the stone on the first day of the powwow. And he was also there. We were doing business with the Fernand Marcos's daughter, the lady that got the stone.
Yeah.
We were doing business with her. I gave him the stone that afternoon, right? Okay. And we're all supposed to meet I think it was 10 o'clock the next morning for breakfast. The next morning, about 9 o'clock, Ben, Makapu's partner, and Makapu is the king, calls me, goes, "We can't find Makapu." He flew to the Big Island last night. We have no idea when he's coming back. The stone talked to him. The stone talked to him and made him get on a plane, fly from Kauai, have one of his cousins pick him up, drop him off at Mauna Loa, one of the volcanoes here, and there was a stone circle with 15 stones, and it was to be placed as the 16th stone at this sacred site. Yeah, so he didn't tell his wife he was leaving, nothing. He made it back for dinner, by mid-afternoon that day. But yeah, that stone, this guy's really connected to spirit, unbelievable.
Sharing that, wow. Because I know what you're saying with Sean, all right? When I met Sean at Andrews, it was like the end of the second day, I had a whole bag of these. And he comes up to me, and he was just tuning into them, and they were talking to him and stuff. And I've got my own, all right? And I let him share them. And I just took them all there, and I said, let people choose them and stuff. And all the confirmations and stuff were out of this world. There was a lady that lives in Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico is related to the pirates and all the shit done over there. And she took one, and her thing was a phoenix, and you could tell it was like a phoenix stone for her, and she just chose it out of the whole bunch, right? And then I gave her another one to put in the water for the mermaids and stuff like that. And it was just, it's a lot of fun happens with them. I just see myself as a facilitator, being in human form. They don't have the ability to move around, so it's a privilege to help them get to where they want, So. Oh man,
I had some.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, the king of Hawaii got led, it's amazing.
He got ordered.
Yeah, he got ordered, man. Got on a plane, crawled up a mountain in the middle of the night.
So what did he say when he came back? He didn't.
That's basically, in his own cryptic way. He's one of those kind of silent cryptic guys. That the stone had to be, it was, what was it? The circle of 15, and it was the 16th, or, some real I can't get cryptic like that, But yeah.
He's tuning in and trying to interpret light shine and stuff like that. Yeah.
There was a stone circle of 15 stones up there, and it was to be placed as the 16th stone, which apparently completed the circle as well. This was at a sacred site he had been to before. So he'd been to, he knows the ancestors.
I tell you what, I started organising just today, all right? I haven't been in touch with him for a long time, but the eldest elder of the Yamatna tribe of Wilpena Pound, I don't know if you've seen it, it's like a cradle in the Lara Croft movies. There was that Cradle of Life place. This location is an extinct volcano, and it looks like the Cradle of Life. And I haven't been in touch with him for a long time because I lost his number, and I just found his email, all right? And I sent him an email just saying, I want to get your information and stuff like that. My intent with him is to actually get his details and send him a box of crystals, because he's in my state. He's about 4-hour drive north of Adelaide. And I'm going to send him a bunch of crystals to get him to take him out there. To the
nice
site. It looks like a womb chakra. And the Atnamatna, they're over 50,000 years old. They're pretty much the oldest tribe in the world. So, he calls me Uncle Andre. So in the indigenous,
Uncle Andre. Yeah. I know. I get the auntie thing. That was unsettling the first time I heard it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm an auntie.
I haven't had much contact through my website at all, right? And even just 2 days ago, I had this lady saying she watched the 8th colour video I did, and she got driven to go to Mount Atlas in Morocco on a pilgrimage, stuff like that.
Hold that thought for a second. I gotta call my dog. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's what I've sort of got in a background sort of theme to see what unfolds, to get them to take them to the sacred sites as well up north in Australia.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, they were all over. Those stones started talking to me, dude. It was like the little ones. I had one, and it was, you gave me instructions with the one pink stone. That's all you told me to do, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't tell anyone what to do,
Yeah, but you'd sent me a whole friggin' box of them, and I had some of the smaller stones in my caddy in my car, right next to my seat in the middle. And I'm driving, and I'm on Kauai. It's beautiful, driving down the coast and across the river, and I'm headed to the store, right? And I'm coming across the a Y part in the road, and I was going to go straight to the store, and all of a sudden I'm getting very strong instructions to make a right. And to go to the sacred site. There's a sacred site about 2 blocks down the road, right? And it's going, and all of a sudden I look down, and sure enough, it's coming from one of the stones, and I'm like, what? Yeah, I know. And it was like I couldn't go to the store. I had to go to the sacred site and grabbed it. And I knew which stone it was. I grabbed it. Actually, I grabbed both of them. I had 2 of them in there. I grabbed them both. And there's a grave site. 5 kahunas were buried at this sacred site. And it's a site I was a caretaker for. And so I knew they were basically unmarked. I knew where they were because the kahuna showed me. And one of them was like 8 foot tall. It was a giant. And this guy there were stones over the site, over where he was buried. And how did it go? One of them wanted to be placed on the heart. So I placed it on the heart. And then I went back to the foot, basically where the feet were, and stood there and, was communing with the site and all that, and just
I took some photos.
Hold on. It wasn't finished. It called me back over. Okay. And it wanted to be picked up and put underneath the headstone. There was like a shelf underneath it. And it wanted to go underneath there, and my hand was drawn. When I finally saw where it ended up, it would have ended up under the third eye. If there were, that was a head. And I was looking at the way the stones were laid out, and it wanted to go on the heart, then it wanted to go under the third eye.
Wow.
Then I was drawn back there at another occasion to place another stone, a small stone, because all of the stones were touching. I noticed at that point that they all were touching, except for where the heart stone connected with the throat and the head. There was a space there, and it wanted to be connected. So I placed that stone, and it perfectly fit so that it made a connection with all the stones. And then I placed another one. There was a huge stone that probably weighed a couple tons that was shaped in the shape of Kauai. And there was a place there that represented, what was it? It was most sacred spot on the island, which was Mount Waialele. And there was an indention there where I put it so that nobody could see it, but it wanted to go there on that sacred, the representation. Yeah. I mean, and then there was, I placed...
You know what I'm doing? I'm creating a knowledge grid. That's what's going on. So
You're what?
Creating a knowledge grid around the world. A knowledge, like information grid. Right. So you're an information buff,
Yeah, well, and then another one.
I don't know what I'm doing. Andrew told me I'm doing it. I'm just doing it by instinct. You know what I mean? I'm not attached to the outcome. It's just what I feel I can do as an expression.
Yeah, and all of this for me was done by instinct. I mean, these stones are leading me around. I had another one take me to the city of refuge. And it took me into, actually, the area I wasn't supposed to go into, but I did, because I figured I could say, well, I work for Jimbo. And I did. But yeah, I wanted to go inside the area where we weren't supposed to go. And then it led me to basically what looked like stones that were laid out in the shape of a snake, and it wanted to go underneath that head. But here on the Big Island, I had some interesting experiences. They wanted to go, another one went to Coconut Island, which is very sacred, and I've spent a lot of time there doing a lot of energy work and ancestral work and inner work and feeding the birds. The birds and I had amazing experiences there. But there was a kind of like a pooled area or, a round area. It's hard to say. But anyways, they wanted to go into like a cervix. I considered that one area like a womb. Yeah. And it would have been a channel going into that womb. So wanted to go into what I saw as the cervix. So I put it there. And there was another area, and this was a place known for, it's where the kahunas took and the parents took the umbilical cords of the children and placed them there for ceremony after the children were born. So it's a very, very sacred area. So yeah, they wanted to go in like the cervixes of the entries to a couple of ponds. And that was there. Then on this side of the island, That was in Hilo, where I live about 20 miles south. We have some sacred areas, and I've kind of placed oh God, yeah, I had to travel into another cervix and into an area I wasn't supposed to swim into, and almost got sucked out of a channel into the ocean doing it, but I got the job done. Wanted a stone there, and then I took one. We have a petroglyph, and it wanted to go under this petroglyph, and that was that pink stone. Actually, I forget where I set that. There was a pink stone I set on Kauai, and I forget where I set that one. I set so many. But that I had another pink stone here for the Big Island, and that went under that stone. And the petroglyph there was one was a spiral, the other was a stick man, and then the other one is looks like a UFO. It's a real interesting petroglyph. And what's really powerful about that experience, because that's when I was kind of winding up. I had already given them to the chiefs and to the princess and passed them out to everybody. I had done all the grid work, and this was like at the very end. I think it was the last stone I laid on out of that box. And almost all of those were laid. I mean, I had some that I was using on my bed to protect my bed. Those got used. I just have like 4, the 2 big ones. And anyways.
Are you sure you want more crystals? It seems like they make you work your butt off.
Oh, I love it. It's a magical journey. And this time, when I got finished placing that last stone, this is overlooking crashing waves. It's about 30 feet up from the ocean on a cliff on lava. And it's a lava cliff. And the waves are crashing over in the sky. It's beautiful. I mean, it's awesome. And it's also at an ancient sacred site. Okay, it's a really powerful area where I have done fire ceremony. In the past, where I did fire ceremony on this island was at that site. And as soon as I got finished, and when I would finish, I would always, do a little meditation and blessing kind of thing. I did my own little routine. When I was coming out of that, high as a freaking kite, from the energies, I hear this screeching, and I'm thinking it's a bird that had fallen out of its nest. So I go, I have to kind of follow a little path. There was a fallen tree, and there was an archway under that fallen tree, and as I was going through it, it felt like walking through a portal, and I still hear the screeching. And as soon as I walked through it, the screeching stopped. And I looked over to the left and kind of down an incline just about 10 feet in front of me. There was a fallen log, an old log about a foot off the ground with a white hawk standing on it, looking at me. Oh shit. And I dropped my backpack and slowly sat down. And my heart started beating so fast. And and I'm like trying to calm just get into that still spot so I can get the message, right? And, it's just like, oh my God, I couldn't calm down. I was so excited, and I just, internally, I was excited. I was calm on the outside, but I couldn't get into a still space to really connect with it because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Oh my God! You kind of, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sat there with me for I don't know, a few minutes. And at one point, I finally, as soon as I was able to close my eyes, and then I finally stilled myself, I opened my eyes and it was gone. I didn't hear it fly off, nothing. It was gone. And I'm so expanded and blown away at that point. I get up and I'm guided to kind of walk back over to the cliffside and look down in the water. And what do I see? But I see this huge freaking stone face poking out of the water, looking up at me. And the waves would roll over it and then roll back, and there would be this face. And it looked a lot like... Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm just tuning in.
Oh, okay. Okay, I heard it. I thought I made a hang up sound. Oh, okay. All right, you dropped something there.
Yeah,
but
shared some pics.
There was this huge stone face, I'd say 10 or 15 feet across, like a monument in the water, stone face, one of those rounded ones, and it looked a lot like, I want to say dolmen, but dolmen isn't the word, maybe Olmec.
Yeah, the Olmec.
Or like...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it was like one of those rounded faces in the stones, and I'm like, and sat there and connected with that, and felt like I was also connecting with Adelaide, and the stone people of Adelaide through that stone. Dude, it's one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had. I mean, I'll never forget it. It was just, it was like, whoa, just the stone placement and that was powerful in itself. Then the screeching, but the whoa when I saw the bird, and then the whoa when I saw the stone face. And, yeah, it was pretty amazing. So yeah, that, I loved it. That's why, send me more stones. I mean, the stones and I created magic together, and it helped bring the magic out in the islands, and, so, it's good work. I like that kind of work.
Why don't you create your own magic without the need for the stones, hey?
I do. Silly, I do, but
yeah, thanks for sharing all that. I actually, you're right. I forgot to ask, but wow.
Yeah, no, it's the it's the magic that the stones and I create, and it's not that I don't create that magic with other things, but I'm just sharing how special the magic of these. Yeah. So they, and I used the largest one you sent, and that actually has a dragon in it. It's the shape, it has a dragon. I don't know how closely you looked at it, but it has a dragon in it. That one I use on my meditation chair in my root. So my root is backed up to that. And then, and then I use the dolphin one, which, that's an awesome stone. A lot of times that's in the front. I'll just put that between my legs.
Maybe you're an ambassador for them. Maybe you're an ambassador for them as well.
I must be because and I have a couple more. I have 2 more that I meditate with and use them in my medicine wheel, and for ceremony and other things. Oh, and I've placed another stone on the east gate. Yeah, they're kind of all over the side of the island.
I met a pair of sisters at Andrew's event that were from the northeast of Australia. I'm in the central South Australia. They're in Queensland, which is where the Great Barrier Reef is. And 2 sisters that were really intuitive, and they came and I sent them the whole batch of crystals each, and they're going around. I told them to fortify themselves, you know, to hold space for themselves, but they go around the Great Barrier Reef and stuff. So one of them, Amanda, she went up to Java and was in the temple. She showed me photos of the temples that she was in. So she went on mission to Java, where the ancient temples are in like Java, which is part of Indonesia. So yeah.
Oh, I remember another place I took them. We have the Star Visitor Sanctuary here. That's Dr. Sala and a bunch of people founded that a couple of years ago. Actually, I was on Kauai when they founded it. And it was so funny because the stone wanted to go in the middle of the circle where the altar was. And it was the first time I had been there, and I was by myself. And I can remember when I was going into that circle, there were a couple of locals there, the elderly Hawaiians, giving me the stink eye. I mean, oh my God. If looks could kill, I would have dropped dead. But yeah, I walked into that, so put it on the altar with the other stones that were up there and stuff, and I put it where it wanted to go, right in a real special spot. And yeah, it was really cool because when I walked, what happened right after I placed that stone, a rainbow came up. Just parallel to where it was like I was looking at the altar and the rainbow came up right in the back of that altar like it was shooting out of the altar.
Did those people see that?
Probably not. Or is he giving me the stink eye? But yeah, that was a powerful experience, but it was funny, you know, because I'll just do what they tell me to do. And boy, they wanted to go right in the middle of that on the altar, and I didn't care what the...
You like Nikki does that shit. She just doesn't care. She does what's needed, you know. She's got that. She doesn't have a variable for what people think, you know. So
nope, I didn't. And I just blessed them and smiled. You know, I smiled at them. Hello. You know, but knowing that they were just, you know, I mean, it might have been one thing if I would have been Hawaiian, but a Haole doing that, how dare I, you know, kind of thing.
Have a look at this, right? I'm sending you an image. I've sent you a few.
Yeah, I'm looking at all these stones here. Just wow.
I've gone to my beach and I collected a lot of them, but the last one, you're talking about rainbows and stuff, right? That sort of really reminded me of something. I don't know if you can see the last one yet. I've sent you 4.
No. Oh, okay. I was looking at one of the first 2. Oh, wow. Look at those rainbows. Whoa.
That is Nikki doing ancestral work in Mongolia just the other day.
Oh, my God.
She cleared the earth in Mongolia. She's gone through South Korea. She went through China where the big explosion was. I sent her to that. You know that explosion, the Tier 1 explosion that was to shut down the womb chakra. She went through a month through Taiwan. And now she's over in Mongolia. She's clearing the ancestral...
Shut down the womb chakra where?
I'll send you a link for it. There was a big, massive explosion, like 2015 in China, just outside Beijing. And massive one. It was Andrew knew it, and it was about to shut down the womb chakra in China. She actually went to Nanking, where all the rape by the Japanese in World War II. You know, they raped the whole 200,000 women sort of thing in World War II. She cleared all that, you know. She's been out there, like, since I did that stuff with her, the Orion stuff. So,
oh, she's doing some amazing... That picture in Mongolia is...
Yeah.
That's
You just talking about
incredible.
rainbows, you know what I mean? The technology. Wow, there you go. Just something to know that happened the other day.
Dude, I didn't know they moved. Okay, the one time, it was the first time it happened, and I've had experiences here with rainbows. Okay, especially after my light body activation, I was tuning into them, sending light into the rainbow and getting light coming back. And one time a double rainbow was created, and I've had some pretty amazing interactions with rainbows in that respect. But in January, the first time this happened, I was in Hilo, just running errands, and I turned onto this road and was going to make a right about a block down. I always take back streets. Yeah. And right in front of me at the end of this road was a rainbow, the end of the rainbow. And I'm like, whoa, I'm headed towards the end of the rainbow. Yeah. And I'm sitting there at the stoplight. And of course, it had just rained. That's where the rainbow came from. And the stoplight took forever. And at one point I was looking at the rainbow straight in front of me about a half a block away. Okay, it was about a half a block away from me, and I was trying to figure out, I was looking to the left to try and figure out, okay, I'm going to make a right over there, and I should be able to go into the parking lot back, trying to figure out how to get to it, right? And so then I look in front of me, and I'm like, where'd the rainbow go? Where'd the rainbow go? Shit. And then I look on the ground at the wet pavement in front of me and see all the rainbow colors. I was in the rainbow. And I'm like, whoa! The energy was incredible. I mean, I was like, I'm in the rainbow. Oh my God, I can't believe this. Well, like 5 days later, 5 days, count them, I'm down at the coast, going to meet a friend for just a minute. I had to pick something up from her. And I'm driving down the red road, and I saw the rainbow. It's like, wow, check out the rainbow. And I parked where we were supposed to meet, which was kind of like across the street from where my friend was parked. I found her, talked to her for a couple minutes at our car. We're looking at the rainbow, which is straight in front of us to the north. And she's admiring it. I'm admiring it. We get in her trunk. She pulls out a rainbow kite, which I ended up stepping on the end of that rainbow kite. It was really ironic, metaphoric how that happened. Twice I stepped on it. And then I was just with her for, a couple of minutes. And then I got back into my car, and I had to head back north. We're in the direction of the rainbow, thinking, cool, I'm going to drive under the rainbow. Well, as I'm like a half a block away from where we were at. And when we were looking at it, that rainbow was going west to east. I'm headed north. And the east end of the rainbow was like dropped off into the ocean. Okay. It was off into the ocean. And as I'm driving towards it, all of a sudden, dude, it's changing angles. It's not going east to west anymore. And now part of it's coming out of a cloud as it's moving over the water towards the cliff or the coast where I was at. We're about 30 feet up there. And I'm like, holy shit, that thing's moving. And I could, and I'm going about 15 miles an hour at that point. I'm not moving very fast, but I'm moving. And dude, it followed me until it was over me. It was like, it was really weird. It was not accidental. That in any, if I were a paranoid person, I'd say it was chasing me.
So you're experiencing instances of the eighth color. That's what's going on. Oh, you're
Yes.
color. You're holding the eighth color for the rest of humanity.
Something. Well, and that was about the time that I had been handed the torch of the elders. Andrew had walked me through that. Sean had done I can't remember the healing Sean did on me, but it was like I was on the phone with 2 hours, on the phone 2 hours with Sean one night. The next morning I had and that was spontaneous. And then the next morning I had a session with Eric Rains, an extraction protocol section at 10:30, and then another one at like 1 o'clock with Andrew, a session with him. So yeah, all that happened back to back, and then I think it was probably a week or two later that the rainbow shit happened. And then in February, the white orb shows up, and then it was like, and I needed all of that to get me through learning my conference had been hijacked by Corey and them. I mean, that was pretty dark shit. I had no idea I was dealing with, how I like to term it, Lucifer's child playing with AI. And that's what I was up against. And I think it's best for me not to know those things and not to be able to see them.
Yeah.
I come out of it.
All the time, Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just the way I just operate undercover in that fashion, for whatever reason.
Yeah. There's and I think, like I said with my dreams, it's like I accept. I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's what's required. I don't need to know everything. You know what I mean? I'm just a part of it.
Right, and that's how I do my energy work too. I've got, I work this sacred geometry, ancient mystery school stuff that is really powerful. I mean, it activated my light body in 8 months. I went from, a former suicidal rocker chick to light body activation in like 8 months. I mean, it was light speed. And, I recognize the gold light and the energy that moves through my body like a fire hose at times. I mean, it's incredible. And I didn't understand. I'm still gaining an understanding of this 5 years later. And it's like, but I knew that this energy, and Andrew gave me a few tips too, kind of like, what I was supposed to do here. And, I just go on to the sacred sites or follow the nature spirits, and there are things that work through me. Let me show you something.
I gave you another picture of the womb chakra area. That's the location just outside of it.
That's got beautiful energy. I can see the gold there.
Yeah, just have it. Like I've actually put in some of Andrew's images just to put it there as a womb chakra, but yeah.
This was fall equinox last year, after I had returned from Mount Shasta, and I was like in a peak state for about 3 months. That's when the golden pyramids were dropping in, the delightful ones. But this was an activation we did at the portal to the sun, which is the easternmost point of Hawaii, which I live fairly close to. I'm about 15 minutes away from it. And we did sunrise ceremony there. Yeah, that's where souls depart to go to the portal to the sun, to leave this solar system and go wherever they're going from here. And can you see the pyramid?
You know, when I chanted when I did ceremony up on Gabriella Island, the sun came out and shone on me like that. The sun was blocked out by clouds and it came out and shone on me when I was chanting.
Oh no, this is really weird. This is really weird. Hold on. It looks like my picture has changed. Yeah, I can see. Okay, can you see my... And we're not doing a share screen, so you can't see this. Where the sun is shining through, there was a pyramid light ship there. We could see it with our eyes, and you can kind of see the outline here. That's why I grabbed the camera. I'm like, oh my God, see the pyramid light ship? Yeah. And can you see this coming from the left, the dark cloud? That's a vortex, and it's up against the ship right there, delivering the souls. Now, what's kind of freaking me out, and I think I've got the right picture, I'm going to pull another one up in a second, is up in the left corner. Even up until the other day when I showed this to somebody, there was the outline of another pyramid in the left corner. And that morning I saw the pyramid ships all over the sky. And if you look, you can kind of see the pyramid outlines. The clouds cloak the pyramids. Yeah. And I've been communicating with these, communing with them. It's weird communication. It's not in words. Let me see, because that's really weird that that's gone. There's always been an outline of a pyramid up in the left. Now, maybe I got the wrong one. Let me see. Or maybe okay, here we go. I hit the wrong one. All right, up in the left quadrant, you can see the lines, the right three, the way that, can you see that pyramid shape up there? You can see two of the walls, sort of.
With the one that you sent me?
Yeah, the one I just dropped. That's it. I was looking at the wrong picture. It would only take 3 pictures, and the camera shut down. Wouldn't let us take any more. But yeah, there's another one up there to the left. Some people see it, some people don't. Basically, you can see the lines and the apex. But anyways, and you can see that cloud, that vortex, a little bit better on this one, as well as I can see the pyramid ship better in this one too. Now, what was really interesting, this was, one of those mornings, I mean, it's actually a huge lava field. That's an ancestral sacred site, and there's a burial site there too. And as I'm walking across this lava field, and it takes a good 20, 25 minutes to walk across it, I would stop and just be guided to spin a vortex up so that, that there were souls there that were needing to be released. And then at one point I look up and I see that the clouds leading up to the ship, and I could clearly see the ship with my bare eye, with the eyes, but I think that's why they went to digital when they did, is digital takes away so much clarity out of our reality. Yeah. Than film. Film was a much different medium for capturing.
Versus digital. It's the vinyl film.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So yeah, this was a powerful morning. but what I was getting at is it's kind of the same thing with me. I just headed out to that field that morning expecting to just kind of see the sunrise. And we both ended up, she was way gone from me and she was doing her own thing and I was being guided to do mine. I had no idea. I had an idea what I was doing, but that was about it. And I just let it flow. I'm the vessel for the divine light to work through. And
Very cool.
that's all I really know sometimes. So yeah, that was a powerful morning. And that's
Like
with stuff like that.
The second one you sent me, all right, what I'm seeing, the dark above, like the dark area of the cloud up above, it's like a guy looking down, eyes, nose and mouth, looking down at the portal. It's a bit abstract, but that's what I'm seeing in that photo.
That's interesting.
Like a being. It's just, that's what I see.
Well, I see a winged being kind of in front of the right panel of the pyramid. I see a winged being there. In the darker clouds. That's what I'm seeing. Is that where you're seeing the face?
I see like the forehead above popping out, but I'm also talking right up above the top layer of the dark, right in the middle. It's like a face looking down at the portal. Does that make sense?
Oh, I think I'm seeing that.
But it's like a thunder beam. It's like a thunderbird. It's in the middle of that very dark line that goes up on an angle. The tail at the bottom and then the beak that's popping out.
Yeah, that could be a thunderbird. Yeah. Okay. The winged being? Yeah.
Right in the middle of the black cloud, in the very dark. It's like underneath the wing, the feathers.
A lot going on in that picture, but yeah, to top all that off, and you can see, if you look, and I work, my sacred geometry is real heavy with pyramid structures.
Yeah.
And I see those. I found, dude, when the last few months I was in Kauai, all of a sudden I started tuning in on ancient technology, ancient pyramid technology in the mountains all over Kauai, especially in the area I was living.
Did I send you the last video I made, alright? Did I send that? It's called,
I'm not sure.
Just let me get the name of it, because Andrew goes into pyramids all around the world, but mainly up the west coast of the United States, alright? Yeah.
I think you do.
I'm not sure. Later in this week, or over the weekend.
No, I don't think, not this week. I didn't get that one. But yeah, I started finding that's when I started tuning into the pyramid technology embedded all over the area that I was living in. And we had a massive pyramid. Within a mile from one of the houses I was living in, I could see the apex. Every morning I sat out there, meditated, and opened my eyes, and there was an apex of a freaking pyramid. Here, I'll show it to you. I can even prove that to you. And I took the king and the prime minister there to the elders, and they knew about it. They just don't talk about that shit. But yeah, they were like, yep, you're right. Yep. I tuned right into it. And yeah, it's funny how they don't like to talk about those things, though. Even when you know about it, they still don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. You're not in.
Let me see.
You're not in the group,
Yeah. I and that's how I gained their respect. Was I kept getting into stuff like that.
I forwarded you the link. I forwarded you the link.
Which link was? Hold on. I can't do anything right now. I'm trying to find that one picture. But anyways, yeah, I had a pyramid. It's interesting how I, end up in some of these places. Another place, the last place I lived in Kauai, bless you, I was at, what was it called? I forget what they called it there, but it was the place where, it was the mountain where the souls entered to come into, I'm not sure if it was the islands or the earth in general or what, but that was where the souls were birthed, in that area. And then I end up over here where the portal where they're leaving. So yeah, and kind of understanding my role, like with the orb and stuff like that, this stuff is starting to make sense. I kept going, why do I end up in these places? First people I meet off the plane, I like to say off the boat, but off the plane in Kauai are the royal family. When I got to Kauai, I had to stay at a hotel for about 6 weeks until I found a place to live. The hotel where I stayed at had a sacred site, and it was a long story. I won't go into how I met the kahuna. We met in the parking lot in front of the hotel, actually the night after I was looking for sacred sites online and didn't find anything that was accessible that I hadn't already been to. And there was a sacred site basically on the corner of that property that was one of the most powerful on the island. Actually, Makapu said it was the most powerful when I took him there. But I'm saying there's probably another one or two that are most powerful he didn't know about. But this was the site where the ancient Polynesian voyagers, the boat rowers, went to learn how to follow the stars and learn the sky. Yeah. And I end up there. It's like, okay, this can't be a coincidence. Obviously I'm coming back to the place that I was, one of the places that I've been to before. And
it's funny that you said you were looking online, you couldn't find a sacred site. There's one right within 50 meters or 100 feet or whatever.
Yeah, and this is the night before, and so I just have to share the story because it's really funny. I'm sitting out in my car the next morning smoking a cigarette, listening to some music and facing the hotel building. And all of a sudden, I get this really strong intuition, telling me to move my car. And I'm like looking around, going, what the fuck? I know I'm not bothering anybody. Why do I move your car? Just don't ask, move your car. Okay. So I start my car, then I park facing the street, turn it off, light my cigarette back up. No, that's not where you're supposed to be. Move again. No, move your car. Move your car. Okay. I'm like, so I moved back, and this time I pull up into a parking space that is where other cars can pull up and park in front of me. Okay. And I mean, about the time I turn my car off, here he comes. This truck pulls in, parks right in front of me. And I can see it's a local, a Hawaiian man. And I see him pulling a stick over, he's got it in his hand, it's going over the steering wheel, and I'm like, is that a flute? I could see it was something like that. And when he gets out, he's got his ceremonial kahuna singing on, that rap thing, I forget what they call it. I know, I suck at the language. And then he pulls the stick, it's a walking stick. I'm like, Oh, cool. Cool. It's a kahuna. Nice. Well, he walks by my car. And I ask him about his stick. And he begins to tell me about his stick. He carved it, And I get out, we talk for a few minutes, and I ask him what he's doing here, and he says, I'm here to visit the sacred site. And I'm like, no! No, I didn't believe him, because I'd been looking for a sacred site, and nothing said there was one at my hotel. I'm like, no. And he's like, no, you're not. He's like, so we talk, and then he's got to go show me the sacred stones, take me to the site. And I've talked to him for probably an hour and a half, and he gave me his number. And when I called him, that's how I ended up becoming a caretaker. Then I got on to, he was starting a burial council, and I was his assistant to help with the burial council. And then I met Joe. I met the king. Okay, met a guy named Joe, his partner. He was the king. He was I don't know, King Kamea. King Kamea was his papa, his grandpapa, or I don't know, great grandfather or something like that, but he called him Papa. And the stories Joe would tell. The stories he would tell. Yeah.
I actually know.
I
was actually going to take a photo of us talking for 4 hours, 44 minutes, and 44 seconds, and I missed it because I was tuning in.
Shit! Oh my God!
My mum.
Three. She home?
Oh no, yeah, she is. But what I was going to say is, my mum's friend is actually very good friends with the Tongan prince or Tongan royal king.
well, let me finish this really quick, and then I'll let you finish. So, Joe and Jimbo was the kahuna. Joe and Jimbo invite me to a meeting with the prime minister and a friend. And they want me to record it. So I'm holding a recorder and I'm recording it. Jimbo bought me a recorder for this. And I got to talking to Ben, and Ben and I exchanged numbers. Then I became Ben's assistant, the prime minister. And we had a call, anyways. He brought Makapu over, and I'm sitting there. He's introduced me to Makapu, and we're talking, and I'm going, okay, what's your position with the kingdom? He goes, king. And I look at him, and I go, huh? And he goes, king. I'm the king. And I swear to God, I looked at him, and I said, all right, will the real king please stand up?
Did everyone shut up and look at you?
Joe was the king. I knew of a couple other people on the islands claiming to be king, and I'm like, and then there was another guy on Kauai I had met, Dane. He claimed to be the king, and at that point, I'm like, all right, will the real king please stand up? Well, he showed me his genealogy, and his genealogy goes back to 1287, and he has both maternal and paternal lines, mainly maternal, and that's what they look for. They don't give a holy crap if King Kamehameha is your papa.
Yeah.
It's the maternal that's important.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my story about kingships and it's on the islands here. And, oh God, man. Yeah, but I've seen the alloidial to the islands, the title. I mean, he's shown me the paperwork. I've seen it all, and the bank accounts in Switzerland. Yeah, some really heavy stuff. But who's the guy in Tonga? So who knows someone in Tonga?
My mum's friend is very good friends with him. He was like a rugby player, very famous rugby player for Tonga, and he's in the royal family. But he lives here and works in a zinc mine. So, because he sort of wants to get away from it. But it's funny, like he goes fishing a lot, and all his friends are like, Joe, how do you catch so much fish? And he goes, I asked him. And he does, you know. He always comes back with full fish, and he asks the fish to be his, you know. And they don't believe him, you know. But
hey, I've heard of other people that do that, and have very good luck when they go fishing. There's a guy in and you may have heard this. It seems like it was on one of Andrew's shows, or it was back then. It might have been Larry Buzzell. Or somebody they knew.
Larry's a fisherman. He lives in the...
Yeah, but talking about, you know, on his way to the ocean, he'll start inviting them, and out there, who wants to take a truck ride? You know?
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me of, is the fish riding in the back of the truck. Because they wanted to do it. Yeah, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, just
very well. It's interesting that you've got a royal family member working there, you know, at a blue collar job, because that's, you know, when you say royal family to people who aren't educated on the reality of what's gone on here, you know, I know of a couple people when I've dropped that term royal family, they think that, you know, it's somebody who's being driven around a limo and lives in a palace. No, these people have been driven to poverty, and all of their rights, you know, to their legacy to the kingdom have been stripped away. The treasures are, you know, the kingdom treasures for Hawaii. Some of it is in the Bank of Hawaii, and the locals have no access to it. And then some of them are in Swiss accounts. They had me calling the oldest bank in Switzerland to get the contact information for them so they could try and make a claim to their, and they wouldn't even talk to them. Wouldn't even talk to them. Gave them the runaround. And then when they called back to ask why they got the runaround, then they got hung up on. It's really sad.
Thanks for sharing all that, though. It's interesting. Sorry it's taken so long, but it's beautiful.
Well, we had a lot to catch up on. You know, so.
I was just thinking about Hawaii a lot. That's all. I was just watching.
Well, you know, put the call out there to the universe that you want to go to Hawaii and make it happen. I still have an extra room, so you know, next time
do work. So I'll see what happens. You know, it's interesting.
Yeah. You know, do a GoFundMe campaign or something.
I don't worry about those avenues. Say, for whatever reason, a lot of people might want to have interaction with me, so I do an energy exchange sort of thing, and then I use it. So and that's where I get the crystals around. If I get money, I do it. So I call myself, I'm a barometer of the reality. What the people want is what I do as well. So I'm you know what I mean? Like, I'm not totally...
Hey, I hear some of those crystals talking, you going, dude, put me in a bag. Let's go to Hawaii.
Hey, I'm doing it on the weekend. That's my plan. All right. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Dude, come on, let's go to Hawaii. So anyways, well, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen.
I've got Taiwan and Japan on the radar as well. So
well, I'll tell you, I've got Australia on the radar, and New Zealand, and Thailand, jungles of Indonesia, Vietnam. You know, Japan just came up on the radar. I've had this interesting woman in Japan. She's I don't think she even saw my video. She saw my post and donated $300. And that was last month. And then I put up another blog update that I haven't really marketed on Facebook yet because I knew I needed to make a couple of corrections. And so it just went out to subscribers. So I know she subscribes. And I'm looking for sponsors right now. And people who sponsor me, there's a tier program for free webinars and conferences, yada, yada, yada. She sent me $525.
Oh, wow.
Just like, I had to go take a nap. I was so proud. I did. I was blown away. And I don't know if she even watched my video. I mean, the fact that there are people like that out in the world, it's a miracle. It's amazing.
To me, it's actually been a case that, there's actually been people with roles to actually get resources to help the rest out. But it's a bit like Lord of the Rings. They hold on to the power. So, it's good to...
But she's Japanese and doesn't even speak English.
But maybe she's really psychic and she knows and she's an ancestor.
She's got something going on. Yeah, she's got a real spiritual, divine side to her. Yesterday, her message on the PayPal message was, "Happy Lionsgate, let the prosperity flow," or allow. I mean, it's something about allowing.
Yeah.
Allow it to flow. Allow it to flow. And yeah, and she has a very innocent, joyful kind of, just joyful, playful kind of personality to her. Yeah, really cool, but just blew. I mean, I said I had to go take a nap. I was so blown away. Oh my God, man, I got to process this. Yeah, yeah.
You deserve it.
Well, thank you. It's hard for me to ask for money.
It's hard for everyone. But you know what? This is what I learned, right? There's a giving process. You have to learn to allow receiving so other people can give. It's a very important part of it all. It's surprising how it's hard, but you've got to realise it's allowing them to serve as well, You can't just always give and not receive because you've got to allow the process of others to give. It's a very important part of the process. So,
what it's going to take to wake the collective up isn't going to be an easy awakening.
I already decided that humanity has asked for a hard lesson, right? So.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I thank God every day for blessing me to live on these islands. I mean, this is a cool place. I mean, to be when all that goes down. And, people here, we have the aloha spirit we share. I mean, if you come to this island and, are just, if you're an asshole and, a fighter and, boy, I'll tell you what, the locals or the island itself will take care of you. You'll either get thrown in jail or get shipped back home. Some people die.
Yeah.
It's just, and there's a local population here that takes care of the riffraff.
Yeah.
It's just, they get taken care of. So it's a peaceful place to live for the most part. There's, the problems are the residents here that end up, getting caught up with the dark side, with the alcohol and the meth and the drugs. There is that element, and it's gotten worse. I mean, that stuff never used to happen here. It was always a really cool place. But yeah, it's here. But for the most part, the locals police the local population just as well as the police do. And the police here are pretty cool for the most part. So, yeah, it's an interesting place. And I'm blessed to be here, during all of this. So, yeah, it's interesting how all of that works. And like I said, none of this comes from a place of fear, just observation and knowing that there's a hard wake-up call coming. So anyways, well, I'll let you go, my love. We need to...
My God, you can talk.
Hey, we're at 5:25.
Yeah, well done. But yeah, great chatting, and thanks for sharing stuff, keep up the good work.
And thanks for sharing,
around, I'm keeping a low profile. I don't talk to many people much.
I don't either. I've enjoyed this conversation thoroughly.
Yeah,
and
when stuff happens, send a message out, let us know, and see what's going on.
I will, and you too. Let's not
even stuff, just like back channel, I used to be very broad and everything, but now I'm pretty much focused on what I do and try and maintain my feeling, basically. So that's about it.
Yeah, me too. I totally will. And right now,
enjoy.
You too, my dear.
Get some rest, all right?
All right, you too. It's been great talking to you, Andre.
Bye.
All right, take care. Bye.